Box-to-box overlap, and France have beaten the All Blacks 29-13 in the first game of the World Cup. This is it sets the tone for the World Cup. Whenever the hosts win, the tournament is just gonna flow, especially the French, who, you never know which French team will show up. So for them to win their first game, kudos to them. A few things I noticed from the match. At first I thought that the All Blacks actually had the French number. At some point towards the midpoint of the first half, going into the latter stages of the first half, you could see a lot of French players on their knees, and I thought that they're going to be tired, and the occasion might be too big, or it might be too hot, or even injuries. And then they lost Marchand early, who was trying to go for a ruck, and then he was pushed, and then it kind of extended his hamstring, so he had to go off. And one person that came in was Movaka, who really changed the game. He was in all the breakdowns. He had energy from this get-go. And if you watch the preview, I said Movaka coming off the bench is going to give them a lot of energy. And he did, even though he came on after 10 minutes. He really gave them energy. All Blacks started well. Rico Ioane break, and then ended up getting a penalty in France's half, and then ended up scoring through Marc Telea. Quick thinking from Boden Barrett, cross kick to Telea when they were playing penalty advantage. From there on, France just played the scoreboard, right? Just whenever we get a penalty, just go for points. The person who was really disappointing for me today was Ethan de Groot, who is in this squad basically for his scrummaging. He's a good scrummager. For him to concede 2 scrum penalties, and which ended up being 6 points to France. And then when the All Blacks were about to score, he lost the ball on the line, or not on the line, but around inside the 22 basically. So he had 3 very bad instances where his mistakes were quite costly to the team. Second half he played a bit well, then he came off. I think Offa Tuangafasi came on for him, and Fletcher Newell as well came on at the other prop position. For France, Aldrit got an injury in the first half, and I thought it wasn't looking good. It was off a breakdown. He just won a turnover, but he managed to stay on. And for me, probably the man of the match. He was everywhere. He set the tone for them. His ball carrying was superb. There were no line breaks around him. This is something that France did so well. The defense was on point. They didn't concede stupid line breaks. And they did well to also control the tempo of the game. After Will Jordan got his yellow card, they only scored 3 points, but they controlled the game well, and they played with the crowd, So France have this was a very good first game for them. I predicted them to win this game. I didn't expect it to be this margin of 29-13, but they have done it. For the All Blacks, there's no need to panic. There's an interesting very weird stat I saw today, that this was the first loss the All Blacks have had in the World Cup in the group stage. That is wild. That is just wild. But this was a very good French team. It didn't help that New Zealand lost Sam Cane just before the game, and Brody Retallick had to come onto the bench. I'd say the person from the All Black side, the only positives would be definitely Marc Telea. Although he was a bit loose on his carries, he scored 2 tries. He was quite solid, looking for work everywhere, which was really good to see. Will Jordan was lucky to not get a red card, but for the second one, there was a bit of mitigation when he not really tackled, but hit someone in the air. But if it wasn't for Villiers falling in front of him, then it would have been a straight yellow. But because of that, it was mitigated and it was just a penalty. So he was lucky to stay on the field. Ramos was amazing off the tee. His 50-meter kick was just so nonchalant. He was really brilliant. Mwanga missed 2 kicks. I know they were from wide, but these are some of the reasons why he's in the team, because he's the best kicker. So he missed 2 kicks, which would have put the All Blacks up. But regardless, people miss kicks. It's part of the game. France were the better side on the day. They played to the weather. They played to the scoreboard. They didn't panic even when they were under pressure. And I think they played a very solid game. So kudos to Fabien Galtier for an impressive game plan. And the World Cup has started.